My lord, I'm sorry, but my news is no better than Captain Bernard's. These coins are very good. That is to say, well-made facsimiles, as we call them.
What? I don't give a fuck what you call them. I want to know what they're fucking worth.
That's just it, sir. They're worth nothing.
When I was in kindergarten, I knew I was a violent kid because this is the sloppiest shit I've seen. Yes! Yes! I was like, I'm hoping some.
Kingdom Come Deliverance. What a fantastic few years this game has been out now, and I grew up with this like in my early teens, and it makes me feel old to admit that because I'm only 19, but playing this game since release and seeing it grow into what it's become with all the DLC, especially in the updates, it's kept me replaying the game since. Not only is the game historically accurate, but it's extremely immersive. You get to live life in the early 15th century, with the story taking place in the Holy Roman Empire in the Kingdom of Bohemia. What really kept me invested into this game, though, is the combat. The combat, even when clunky at times, is some of the most accurate sword fighting mechanics we've ever seen in gaming, especially since Bannerlord, which became easy to cheese with a big axe and some Swadian knights. The developers really did their research on this one, and this is what I really appreciate about the game. They researched historical European martial arts, specifically of German tradition, and it really helped make the combat more appealing and fun to play. There were countless times where I would come home from fencing, from longsword class, whatever it was, and I would just sit down and play this game and continue to think about longsword fighting. I would really play this game so much. It was a complete recreation and preservation of what life and combat used to be back in the early 15th century. Countless hours would I just wait in the middle of town and wait for the next tourney to come through. And for a long time now, even though I study the Italian tradition of Fiore, I've always wanted to try the longsword combos in sparring or as plays/drill work. So that's what you're going to see now. We went in blind. We looked at all the footage for each one of the plays, or the combos rather. We didn't read any of the description for the combos, and I will put those on the screen as we do it. But all we had to help us was our current understanding of swordsmanship to help us understand what we were seeing.
The video that you're about to see, I have been wanting to do for like 2 fucking years. And I was very ill-prepared to do it today because I wanted to get it the fuck out of the way. It was one of my goals after Queen's Gambit and Raleigh Open to do this video. But basically it's evolved into, let's recreate this so people can see it in third person. Instead of that, it's like, holy shit, we don't know what it is, so let's look at it 8 times and give our interpretations of what it could be.
First up, we have Zornort, the Wrath Strike. We have a left-right horizontal cut, a right-to-left rising cut, and then a stab. To start off, I give that cut from the left, and you'll see me kind of work by this piece by piece. I figured with the rising cut from right to left it'd be better to blow through, then bring it back down and roll to Fenestra for the stab. Also on the last strike, you'll see me transition back to Lefty Dana where I started, and from there, I'll throw a false edge strike crosswise to get the point on line and get a thrust alongside my cut.
Oh shit, okay. The game might know something.
So this is what I'm talking about here. I start from left to Dana, I perform the 2 cuts, I'm back in left to Dana, and then I throw a false edge crosswise strike. Then from there, the point's already online, so it's pretty much easy sailing, and I can still roll to Fenestra.
Yeah, that was fucking beautiful, okay.
This one was so easy to pick up that honestly, I didn't feel like we were going to have trouble with any of the other ones after this. Will picked this up immediately. He already knows that last move, and now he pulls that off on me all the time in sparring.
Well, we're thinking of the same thing. Yes.
Now on to the next one, we have Feller, Scarmaker, right? And I thought this was pretty straightforward, but I got proved wrong pretty quickly. We struggled with this one for a hot minute. And I was convinced that because of my second thrust that my blade would get knocked offline and I would use that as momentum for the true edge work, but we kept arguing over which side the thrust was placed, like we didn't know which side of the bind it would be on. To give some context, my phone's fucked and we were viewing it off my phone the entire time. We were recording on Will's phone, and that's half of why we struggled with it so bad. You know, in the videos we saw too, most of the time people had their helmets on in the game, which obstructs the vision as well. This is the point where I try to make it clear that you need momentum to get it to go to that other side. I also feel like our measure's too close, honestly, and that might be half of why we were fucking up the thrust so bad. We totally did not figure that shit out. I'm lying. Dupliren, doubling. I probably fucked that up just then, but anyways, you can see it's pretty much like a series of cuts, and then you lay your blade into the bind and you let the pressure off, and then you just kind of go forward and slice their face. And this might have been the most confusing one. I have no clue. This is another one where we argue, like, which side is the fucking blade on? So you're probably wondering what the hell we're doing here, and we're still arguing about the last one. As a matter of fact, the embarrassing footage from us trying Dupliren is just that. In fact, it is so shitty that I'm not even going to bother showing it. I don't even think I have it. I've looked for it. I've tried to structure it, but at this point, it's pretty clear that through my shitty phone and the shitty obstruction of vision that a visor gives in the game when you're trying to look through the fucking helmet, we can't figure out what side the fucking blade's on. So we're still struggling with this one, and we think we figure it out here, but I think Will's just fast and sneaky enough to get it. Finally, we get something where we're not going to sit and argue about it. A false edge strike to the top of the dome is easy as can be. So I mix it up a bit. I get freestyle with it, right? I start from Dente de Zingyar. I go to Fenestra to cover, get my vertical, get my right to left Indente. Then I bring my upward strike from left to right. And on the next one, you see here, he blocks it. This is where I go for the false edge. And honestly, I felt like I made a whole play. I kind of made this my own thing, and I really like it. And you can see the transitions from true to false are so fast that this is honestly just probably one of the best things I've ever played with, to be honest with you. And eventually you'll see too, I don't have to commit to that last strike. I can use that last strike as a feint to cut into the false edge. So immediately now it's Will's turn, because I feel like I figured that one out. And I try it again in a little bit. And you'll see the whole feint into the false edge strike, but here I'm really trying to get Will to feel like this pressure down is what's going to give you that false edge strike, or at least like baiting them to block is going to get their guard down so you can do the feint to the false edge strike. And right there it was, clear as day, that feint to false edge, and I showed in the air here how I'm doing it. I feel like this is as true to the game's combo as I could get it, honestly. After a few tries, Will gets it down, we take a break, and we go on to the next one. Here we have Dry Wonder, wrist. And honestly, this is just faking a bunch of stabs and having your point online enough to actually hit them in the fucking wrist. And it starts with a rising left to right cut, and then a crosswise right to left cut, and 2 stabs. Now, my whole thing is you stab them on their left side to get them to block, you retract, and then that final stab is actually where you just step down on the hands. And I've been able to pull this off in sparring lately, and it's honestly been one of my favorite moves. I can kind of play it from Fenestra too. You can start to see me take a squat here, but you can see Will do it in the air, and as he goes through the motions, he gets to the thrust, right? And he gives that thrust, he retracts, and then immediately he understands he can plop down on the hands there. And honestly, I think that the more you have that point online, the quicker it's going to be, but it's so straightforward and so inwards. I like to say every cut is a thrust, and it especially applies right here when you're cutting down on the hands and thrusting in. Right here, I'm just showing how easy and quick it is just to let that point go down and forward. Even if it's not perfect, it's so quick and so powerful and so forward that you can still get that thrust in. And you can see he really keeps his point online better on this last one, and we call it. Dershaloff run through. Anyways, this is just a pommel strike. You just let go with your left hand and you let the sword run through from that lower bind. When you're throwing that right to left rising cut, you really just let go and just hit him in the face. Honestly, I like this way of closing in. I usually like closing in from up high, but this gives me a lot more options to do it from down low, and it's a really quick and easy pommel strike. I wish there were more, but this is our last combo. Will is absolutely nailing me with these pommel strikes, so we just go into some free sparring. And I'm especially proud of Will, and I'm really thankful he did this project with me. Will's really getting good at Satanis, right? I like to talk big game on his Satanis, and now he's really thinking about them hard, and we're thinking about the things that we tried to do here, even just picking apart the last piece, trying to use it as like a single time play. You see me try to use the false edge strike here. Coming up, I'm going to try doing the little stab wrist thing, right? Boom, right there. I attempted it. There, I finally really got something I wanted to do, which was the stabby wrist thing. That really spoke to me for some reason. For Will, the thing that really spoke to him, and it sticks out in his training now, is he likes to do the whole, I'm going to hit you from the left side, roll to Finestra, or I'm going to do the crosswise strike, and I'm going to put the point on you. And he's been killing that, and I'm so proud seeing his growth doing that. You can see me try the false edge strike there, it doesn't work out. Honestly, after doing all these combos, I just realized how important cuts were. Like, you can really overwhelm somebody with all these little slashes inwards. Slick ass hand shot from Will right there to end the match. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. I was certainly in a rush to do this. We just showed up one day and said, fuck it, we're doing this. So it wasn't as precise or fundamentally correct as I had hoped it to be, but it turned out to be a nice challenge, and I think a part 2 is definitely going to be in order. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more sword fighting content.